Boom, there we go. Welcome to the fine print, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Caleb Teskey. And boy, it's a beautiful day. And we got another great guest for you. I'm doing an early one today. Normally, I've been trying to record around 7 or so in the afternoon because it seems like more people are home then. But I got a request for an earlier interview today, and I had to grant it, because I've been super psyched to have this guy back on the show. I want to thank everybody. If you tune in to the last interviews I did, my man Peter Smirlis, Oak Lone Tree, pleasure chopping it up with him. Marguerite Edelman from the Vermont PFAS and Military Poisons Coalition. We had Jason Sterling, another Vermont cultivator. We had Mark Schwartz from the Evidence Room, and that was a great interview. If you guys haven't checked it out, man, I wasn't sure how that one was going to go because Mark used to be a cop, but I thought that was a fantastic interview. And my guest today has been on the show before, and a lot has changed since he was here last time. I'm super excited, so let's bring him out, man. It's Tito Bern from the Bern Gallery and the Bern Gallery Dispensary. Tito, how you doing today, man?
Great, dude. How you doing?
Good. You feeling all right?
Yeah, I know. Not great. I got COVID a couple days ago.
Man.
But yeah,
and you're going to power through an interview, which I really appreciate, and I would have rescheduled if you wanted, but
well, it was actually a good time, I guess, because what the hell else am I going to
do? Cool. And as we talk, I'm going to, like, when you're answering questions, I'm going to do stuff like this. I'm going to focus on you. I forgot to tell you that ahead of time, but since the last time we spoke, I had the pleasure of coming out to the last Pipe Classic that you did at the Bern Gallery, and I was wondering if you would tell us a little bit about that event.
It was great. Yeah, it was. Excuse me. It was the final culmination of what I consider my living art piece. It's the greatest art piece I ever had in my whole life, and it was called Pipe Classic, and it was really incredible, and it culminated in the perfect ending. It felt like the final Pipe Classic was probably the most intense Pipe Classic of all as far as talent. And it was really the best of the best, like it always is every year. But that last one just really, really was the icing on the cake. And we called it a classic finale.
Would you care to name any of the people who were at that event? Because I would. I was super impressed with Kayla Winstar. I've never met her or seen any of her work, and she is just fucking out of this world, man.
Yeah, she was so good. She was great. And she never disappoints. She's a real pro. Some people might not know this, but Pipe Classic was, I should say, the very first pipe making competition in the whole world. And since the beginning of Pipe Classic, now there's these glass competitions all over the country. And Shayla was pretty much on the circuit. She was crushing it all over the place at all these competitions.
Yeah, I've seen her holding checks, like big checks and stuff like that. And boy, I see that Damien and Bailey over at Higher Elevation actually bought the piece that she made at the Pipe Classic, and they have that in their display case in the front of the store.
Yeah, that was great having their support.
Yeah, they're great people over there. Mm-hmm. I'll say that out loud as much as possible. And it was cool. I appreciate the invite to the after party, man. I had a great time hanging out with all your friends over there, wherever we were at that little lake house. But, and that's where I met Jason Sterling, actually, and Molly, who I really like as well. And, just a great night, man, with super talented artists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really special the way we'd all hang out at that lake house. And Salt, though, I mean, I can't talk about the final Pipe Classic without mentioning Salt, who won it. I mean, he has this long history with Pipe Classic too. So it was really incredible to see him, of all people, pull it out in the end. And he wasn't even going to come. And so that was pretty awesome.
He wasn't going to come.
No, he wasn't going to come.
And he won.
Yeah.
And I see, I've been to Jason's house a couple of times, and he has some bong slides. We can call it a bong now because that shit's legal. But yeah, I've seen some of his work, and man, like all this stuff with the eyeballs. I really just love that stuff, man. It's super trippy, and I can't imagine the kind of work that you have to put in to get to that level, man.
Yeah, for sure. They call it the Salt style now, and you'll see other glassblowers doing it. He's taught it, and yeah,
nice. That's awesome. That's cool. What a fun event, man. And it sounded like you're doing that as the last pipe classic because you had to clear out that back space of your building for the dispensary now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was, it had to be that way, but it definitely felt like it was coming to its natural, perfect ending. And anyway, but yes, we had to make space because it was time for something new. I've been doing Pipe Classic for 17 years, and it was time to explore something new. It was like,
Awesome.
I feel like it's Pipe Classic had its beginning, its middle, and its end, and it was just naturally done. And it was great to end it on a really high note. And now it was time to connect with what we were about before I was even a pipe maker, and that was growing weed and being a part of this cannabis scene.
Mm-hmm. And I remember this from our first interview where I had asked you about selling bongs door to door, and I remember you said, "Where'd you find that?" And it was an interview you did with Will Reed from now Cannaplanners.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like you've come a long way here, man. And I know I was waiting for this when we did our last interview, but now you've got your dispensary license, huh?
Yeah, finally. And although we still don't have our final license, we're really close, which is our process or our manufacturing license. And we should have that, I guess, beginning of next week. But we got our dispensary license. We got our grow license right before that. And then once we get our manufacturing license, that's it. That's the full picture finalized, and I can go on with my life.
And it looks like you put a lot of fucking work in over there, Tito. I saw people hauling out when you guys were working on the space. I mean, how long did it take you guys to redesign the space in there?
We were working on it for like a full year for sure. And just planning and talking. And it was a lot. And we had next to no money to do any of it. So it was incredibly challenging. We had to really pick and choose what we were going to do. And then we really got thrown for a loop when, we realized that we were going to have to black out our front window like the CCB wanted everybody to do because, it's very dangerous for the public to see.
Is that the window on Main Street coming down the hill?
Yeah. So our main storefront. So basically, to avoid that, because that felt terrible, we had to build a wall right through the middle of the store. So now when you come into the Bern Gallery, it's like the smoke shop is up front, and then you walk up, you get to a complete wall. It cuts off the entire store from side to side, and then you check in with our security guy, and then you go into the dispo.
If it was up to you, would that wall be there?
No, absolutely not. I also I can't stand how the Bern Gallery was almost like forced to become two separate businesses by all the realities of
which is a bummer because they seem like peas and carrots.
It's the same thing. It's the same place. It's just the Bern Gallery. And I also hate the word dispensary. I can't stand that word. But it seems like we just can't get away from it.
Why not? Why don't you like that word, Tito?
Because it doesn't, it has like I don't know, it has like a weird connotation to me. It feels like it's like we're giving out something bad somehow. I don't know. It's just how it makes me feel.
You think it has sort of a negative connotation?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say that. Yeah, I'm glad I asked.
Huh. Yeah, I don't like dispensary. We've been trying to use the word dispo, and it seems like it's working. It gets a little confusing, but I try to not use the word dispensary whenever possible. But I can't. I'm also like starting to not fight it anymore because I'm just losing.
I like this. I see. Hey, where's this? Slap it up there. Smoke shop.
Yes, we had a total identity crisis, and I'm going to even say we still are. It's like, it's like we're Bern Gallery, but now we have to be Bern Gallery Smoke Shop and Bern Gallery Cannabis. And then the grow company is called Bern Living Organics, but we can't put that on our packaging. So we went with Bern Legacy.
Oh, I was going to ask you. That was my next question. There you go.
Yeah. So it's a mess. It's a total mess. And actually, I'm hoping Will Reed's going to help me out with this because he's great with this kind of stuff. But we haven't landed in our where we're going to be. as far as marketing like that.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you about the cultivation license. You got a cultivation license, right?
Yeah, that's what we got first.
Yeah. What do you got for a license? Could you remind me?
We got a tier 2.
Tier 2 indoor?
Indoor, yeah.
Cool. And I'm going to say this. I know I'm supposed to say neutral on everything, but you've shown me some of the best weed that I've ever seen in my life. And I'd like to ask you if there's anything you're working on that you're super proud of, because I really, as a customer, I have to tell people that you got the chronic. As a journalist, I'm supposed to say I talked to Tito and he's a person that I know. But I think that you have some of the best weed in the state, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate that. And my wife and I have been stewarding a bunch of cultivars for many, many years. I mean, some of them we've been growing for over 15 years. And, this is holding mothers and, throughout this whole time. And we have some really good ones. I call them, a lot of them my heritage strains now, because we're not using them commercially. And I'm just holding mothers of them because I still haven't developed my tissue culture lab yet. And I think that over time, some of these heritage strains have built up some possible viruses or bad bacteria. And the process of tissue culture can rejuvenate those cultivars. So I'm still holding on to them. Yeah, so I'm still holding on to them. Yeah, actually, right on the other side of my little computer here is my little my little DIY laminar flow hood, which is where you do that. So I'm getting there, but I've held these cultivars, and there's some really good ones. I mean, like the original strawberry cough, amazing sour diesel, this incredible 90-day cultivar Nigerian sunshine, and Chem, and still holding AJ Sour for the time being, and Dope Dog. How could I forget Dope Dog? Dope Dog is actually it's not compliant, so I can't flower it. And
what's up? Why not?
It tested at 32%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like that pineapple Kush, it must have been close to there.
You know what? The pineapple Kush, and actually, I'm only just learning what in the soil increases cannabinoids in the test. I think for sure it's tied to nitrates and nitrate levels. So I'm only just now discovering the detail of this. So in the past, I've seen tests come in at PK never under 20%, but 20, 21, and now it's actually going 24, 25. But the 4 cultivars we brought to market are Sour Tangy, which is our lowest THC strain at 22%.
And still fantastic.
Yeah, I love that one. And then Gorilla Glue, the GG4, which is testing from like 25 to 27 around. But you have 2 high nitrates at the end, and any one of these you can drop them by 5% easily.
So the nitrates will drop the THC percentages? Is that what you're telling me?
My current belief is that they will lower your cannabinoid levels. If you're running nitrates, if you're harvesting with nitrates over, let's say, 60 pounds per acre, then yeah, you're going to see a diminished cannabinoid.
And why do you think that, Tito? Is that just from your personal experience of trying stuff like this?
Yeah, I've been going deep into soil science now for at least 3 years, and so running a balanced soil is what it's all about. And except there's one element that you have to make sure you have the right amount of, depending on where you're at in the cycle, and that's nitrogen and the nitrogen cycle, and specifically nitrate. And so whereas you can harvest and have tons of calcium and tons of potassium and phosphorus and sulfur and everything all in the soil, but if you have tons of nitrate, you're not going to have a great product. Huh.
Interesting. You're the first person I've heard mention that. I'm wondering if maybe, I know you listen to Tad Hussey out there at Kiss Organic. Is that a guy who's maybe plugged you into some of this information?
Oh man, I love Tad. Tad's the best. And Kiss Organics, that company, also Brandon, who works over there, is really, really knowledgeable. And they've opened my eyes. First I learned I was a hydro grower forever. I grew, every kind of hydro style you could think of. And then, when I entered the medical program, I was like, I really have to learn how to be an organic gardener. And that's when I dove into it. And it started with TLO, which is this guy, the Rev, and he called this book TLO, which is True Living Organics. And it was really cool, but the style was not very refined. It was he never talked about soil testing. He never he didn't get into as far into it as now we've gone, but it just opened my eyes to this other way of doing it, and mainly just not throwing away your medium. Most hydro growers and a lot of people who are growing in hydro soil and this type of thing, and even regular soil, they're throwing that away after you harvest. You don't have to. You can re-amend it, using scientific techniques and soil balancing, and reuse your soil. And so the True Living Organics focused on, I guess, what people would call tilling the soil. And, so each time you would harvest, you would dump your soil out, re-amend it, cook the soil, which is, what that process is called, and then put that soil back into pots.
That's called cooking.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've never heard that either. Thanks, Tito.
Yeah. So if you put a lot of back guano or like some really hot stuff inside your soil, you can't put plants in that right away. It'll burn the living shit out of your plants. So you have to do called cooking it. And, it'll take, generally just maybe 30 days of mixing it back and forth, adding water, and letting the pH become homogeneous throughout the soil. But TAD and Kiss Organics and there's one other specific grower who had a company named Ice Coast, but Rob, but he's not around anymore. But these guys opened my eyes to what's now being called no-till. Even though it's not completely accurate, you are still, working with the soil. But it's this idea of using soil beds that you don't empty them out after each harvest. After the harvest, you literally just leave it right where it is. The soil beds never move from the flowering room.
I think Derek at Bushy Beard is one of these, no-till organic living soil guys, or if that's accurate.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of great ones in Vermont, and Gas Factory too, and MRZ, and there's definitely a bunch of them that are doing it. It's
Mr. Z's.
Yeah, because here's the bottom line.
Hey, cool.
The bottom line is it's the best way to grow commercially. It once you know what you're doing, it costs next to nothing. I remember just paying thousands and thousands of dollars for bottled nutrients every time I'd harvest. And, in the beginning, especially, I didn't even know what some of this stuff even did. And now, I mean, it's incredible. It's like my power bill and my staff is by far the biggest expense I have. And when I go to re-amend, I get a 50-pound bag of blood meal, let's say, or something like this, and it's like a whole sack of it costs like $30 or $40. It's incredible. And then the time you're saving by not cleaning all these little spindly tubes that you're using your water infrastructure or even throwing them away and just making tons of terrible trash.
Sorry to interrupt you, but does that stuff, no, please. And that's why I have you on the show, Tito. Does that stuff gunk up your water lines?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, it depends. That's another thing, a cool thing about the no-till style is you're typically just giving it water. You're just giving it pure water, nothing else, nothing in the solution. Unless, maybe you have RO water or something that, needs a little something put back into it. So it's not hungry. That would be, one scenario, but it's basically just water.
And I've seen people that RO their water, and I've also heard other people that just said something similar to what you just mentioned, which is that the RO process also takes things out of the water that could be beneficial for the plants. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it could be, but typically the stuff in water it's never at the levels you want it. So what we do at our grow is we have a complete condensate reclaim system. So we actually don't use any water at all from the town or from a well or from anything. We literally get our water right out of the air. And so our air conditioners, our dehumidifiers are pulling water out of the air. that water all comes and gathers in a giant tank. And then it goes from that tank through a heavy metals filter, because you can attract heavy metals through those devices. And then after it goes through the sediment and heavy metals filter, it goes through a UVC light in case there's anything there that needs to be killed, any pathogens. And then it goes into a holding tank. And now that is, essentially the same as RO. It's completely pure water, 0 parts per million. So, what I'm working with, experimenting now, is adding potassium sulfate back into that water at very small amounts, just because that water, whether it's condensate, reclaim, or RO, it's very hungry, what you call it. And it wants to strip out anything. It'll strip out ions from metal or plastic. It doesn't even matter. And then, you've got, who even knows what's in it then? It's, that's not good.
Huh. Curious. Boy, I'm glad I asked you about that one too. That's cool. I got some people who watch my show who will follow up on that, and that's super cool. Some nerdy scientist types, and I love hearing about this stuff from them because I don't know the first thing about it, Tito.
No, it is great. And you know what, though? The cannabis industry is packed with companies selling you, convincing you of these products that you need. And a lot of the time they're derived from the natural elements that we use in this technique anyway. It's like, it's literally like, you just don't need it.
It feels sort of like the pharmaceutical industry in some ways, that are just trying to recreate nature and haven't figured out how to do it.
Yeah. And, and it's like when you're growing indoors, there's nothing about recreating nature about it. It's impossible. You're growing indoors. There's no sun. Everything is controlled. But I think the idea of indoor growing is that you can do better than nature and make a product that's grow a product that's on levels many people don't even know exist.
Hey, boy. And that's a debate that will rage on till the end of time, I suspect, from the sun-grown growers. And, I've talked to a lot of both types of growers, and I can't grow shit, so it's really not my place to say. But, do you think that you could produce superior flower indoors as opposed to outdoor in Vermont specifically?
How dare you ask me that? No, outdoor is far superior. No, just kidding. I feel like that's what I have to say there. You get lynched.
No, it's cool. Look, and you don't have to answer it. You can say pass, but
no.
You kind of brought it up, and I can't help but ask, man.
No, it's completely different. It's completely different. Outdoor weed done great is incredible, and grown under the sun. For example, what we have here, it's called living soil, but technically we can't even call it soil. Soil is what is outside. It's a homogeneous mixture that's out there on the earth. That's soil. What we do is actually organic elements floating in an organic substrate. That's what they really call it. And they still call it soilless mix. So, it's just two completely different things. It's like if you want to connect with a really natural product that was grown under the sun, I get it. I totally get it. And a lot of times the price is way better. So, the price is way better and the quality is still great. It gets you super high and can have tons of medicinal properties. I think, and then if you want to have, a product that has not experienced the stress of nature, which is it's very different. And, then you might want to gravitate more towards indoor.
And I don't gravitate towards either. I like them both. It's hard, especially in my position, because I've heard all the arguments on both sides, which is really interesting. I've been an outdoor guy my whole life growing up, but I know a lot of guys that just grow amazing indoor, and it's hard to deny that.
Yeah, I find that just like the most perfect refined product that gets you the absolute highest tends to be indoor.
I'm not going to argue with you. I do want to ask
you. But also entering that, that is I see the arguments sometimes online between the outdoor indoor argument, and when it comes down to it, it's the beauty of cannabis. It's like whatever you like. There's something for everybody.
Wow, what an asshole you are, Tito. Something for everybody. I can't stand this guy. Fuck yeah. I agree with you, man. And as someone who can't grow weed, it's really not my place to comment, but Bern Gallery, we got Tito Bern here. We're talking about the cannabis industry in Vermont. I want to ask you a couple of important questions.
Hey, one other thing too. One thing. Can I just get this in before we move on?
Yes, sir.
The idea of no-till, by the way, is a total outdoor thing. That's why it's like the term no-till indoors is kind of like just referring to a certain style of indoor growing, but the actual no-till style can only be done outdoors with an actual farm.
Okay.
That where they run a cover crop to increase the organic material before their actual crop ahead of time. It's a whole thing that you just it's just not the same indoors.
Yeah, and I hope I didn't speak or misquote anyone there or speak out of turn, because some of the lingo I'm still getting familiar with as well, and it's a lot to keep up with. You fuckers are smart. I want to ask you, this is an important one that's on the list. I want to ask you about the vape tax, my dude. Yeah. I see that there were some recent changes in that stuff. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the vape tax, because I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I just kept blabbing and blabbing about it for years and years and years. And I worked originally. I thought I was really close a few years ago, and I had then Senator Debbie Ingram working with me, and she was like, "Oh yeah, the vape tax is not even meant for cannabis. Let me talk to the attorney, and we'll just get that changed." And then I'm following up, and right before it happened, she didn't get reelected, and I was just devastated. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" And I literally felt like I had to start completely from scratch. Later, other people joined in to help with the fight, but in the beginning, it was really frustrating. It was just like nobody even wanted to even hear anything about it, and
I do.
Yeah, it was terrible. And really, the bottom line is it was just an oversight. It was just a mistake. It was originally meant to stop jewel use in high school, and which look, I mean, that's of course, like, I think nobody would argue that that's a bad thing. But then they used this language that was so broad that it encapsulated everything, even cannabis products. And so to see it finally completely gone, thanks to a lot of other people that helped too along the way. It's great that it's done. It's completely gone. It's just completely repealed. The vape tax is not applied to any cannabis vaporizer anymore.
I was gonna say, I got a couple of pictures here that I'm gonna try to screen share. Hold on a second, because I sniped a couple pictures off your social media earlier, and I would like to. Where did we go? Boom. Wham. We got. Oh, it was a picture of the vape carts that you're doing with Northwoods. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this, but I see you're doing vape carts now, and I'm wondering if maybe that decision is because of this rule change.
Of which rule change? Oh, because of that? Yeah.
Yeah, because that shit clearly crushed the market for the first year. I mean, people were talking about selling $100 gram carts of distillate, or I've seen them for up to 90, but I mean, to me, that was crazy, because I still get a 10-pack for $200 on the black market. And it seemed to me like those rules were clearly a handout to the black market guys.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, can you just restate the question again?
Well, I guess it's just if your recent decision to make these carts with Northwoods was part of this rule change.
Yeah, and so what's interesting is that all the cart makers they could have actually interpreted the rule in a way where they pay the tax on just the empty cart and then fill it. but nobody was doing that. So it was terrible. I mean, who could, the black market's just going to kill us, I mean, the carts are sold for way less there. And, a 92% tax, I mean, that's meant to kill an industry when you do that. And they were trying to kill Juuls in high school.
And there we go. There's the picture of your carts there. I figured out. I'm still working on the software here. Sorry about that, but yeah.
They did a good job too. And they were really nice to work with. And, we plan on bringing a lot of products to market. This is just the beginning. I can't wait for everybody to see all the things that we come up with over the next several years.
Well, hold up. We got another one here I'd like to ask you about. Where to go? Give me a second. I'm still learning. Boy, oh boy. There we go. We got this one. Is that popping? Is that popping up? Yeah, the Tau Labs and the Emerald Visions collab here that you guys are doing with some bubble hash or something.
Yeah, Nick's great. Although I do have to give a shout out here to Jeff White. Jeff White, otherwise known as Dr. Whitestone, he is curating this menu. He curates this menu single-handedly. He has full autonomy over it. I have actually very little to do with that.
Oh, so Jeff is clearly a man of good tastes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's done a way better job than I ever could have. I'll tell you that.
Word up. I got one more in there. I just, I rifled through your social media before this to find maybe some stuff I could ask about. And these were some other guys that have been on the show. Where's my fucking window? Sorry. There we go. Bam. There's my window. And here's my share screen with these guys. Where is it? Window. Old growth. Is that popping up? Boom. Have you met those guys?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're great. I love them over there. And they have a great product. They're coming at this industry with all doing it all the right way. In my opinion, I love it. And their product is going great, especially that Cardi B. People love that. Yeah, Jesse.
I gotta say the one I tried that I really liked was strawberry rhubarb pie.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. And the pancake breath I thought was really nice as well.
Yeah, they're good. They got they're another one who got hit by that you can't use the word organics rule, and they had to change their name too. Oh, that was rough.
Another rule I'd love to talk to someone about.
Yeah, evidently you just can't have it on your packaging.
Okay.
I guess in a sense, it's to protect the organic. People have to work really hard to get things organic. But the fact that cannabis we just can't partake in anything. So it's
you can't advertise, you can't do marketing. Some of the food companies in this country are allowed to just work with whoever they want and sell you whatever's clever, and that bothers me. But for some reason, it seems like the cannabis companies have been held to a higher and in my opinion, unreasonable standard in terms of advertising and marketing and stuff like that.
Oh, I agree, especially with the advertising. It drives me nuts when I see terrible food products with cartoons all over them, and it's like, oh my god! And then I think about what we deal with. It's like it does see.
And they use Disney Shrek cereal or something like that, for example, those kind of products are marketed to kids every day and don't seem particularly healthy. A lot of them are loaded with sugar, which is not great for your kids. I'm going to say that right now. I don't care if the state's listening. Sugar is super addictive. And for some reason, those products seem to be able to market with immunity to whoever they like.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
Oh, okay. Cool. I want to ask you two. I have just one more here. I want to ask you about that sort of the scene in Burlington now. I see a lot of dispensaries popping up in Burlington. There's maybe 10 or 12 now. I'm not sure. A couple more on the way. Are you at all worried about oversaturation of the market?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I don't even know who they all are. They keep popping up. You know, I've been in business a long time, so I try to not worry. Actually, I try not to worry in general. It's something I got to work on. But we stay true to, we stay true to who we are. Personally, all the competition gets me going. I like it. I think that's one of the greatest things about capitalism is that is competition, because it brings the best out of us. In most cases, it brings the best. It makes us be the best we can be, and to strive to be the best. And I think in general for humanity, I think it's cool. I'm a big fan of innovation.
Mm-hmm. Tito, I want to shamelessly, before we get out of here, this is a new thing I'm doing. I just want to slap your websites up here. I think that's working. The Bern Gallery there. I got the other one for the Bern Legacy Cannabis. Is that the Dispensary website maybe?
Yeah, Bern Legacy Cannabis. Bern Gallery Cannabis. We changed that too. So
okay, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of our identity crisis. So it's like Bern Gallery, because it is just Bern Gallery, the whole thing. And so it's Bern Gallery Smoke Shop and Bern Gallery Cannabis.
Cool. Is there anything we missed that you would like to talk about, Tito? Because like I said, the follow-ups usually last about half an hour. That's all the questions I have for you. I want to thank you for coming on the show again, man. I really appreciate it. It's been great seeing you at some events, and your herb is always fantastic. But if we missed anything, or if there's any shameless plugs or shout outs that you'd like to send, now is the time, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks, dude. I think first I got to apologize. I think earlier I used the word lynch, and I don't even know where that word came out of. Very disrespectful. I gotta not use that word. It just popped out of my mouth, and that was weird. So after I said it, I was like, why did I use that word? It's terrible. So apologies there if I offended anybody.
I won't hold that against you.
But I just want to give I talked about Jeff White, and obviously my wife Mikeala is there with me by my side. I'm the one usually talking in these interviews like this, but she is completely 50% of me. So I always have to just shout her out. And then also Sarah May I didn't get to talk about, but Sarah May through this process stepped up from being administrator to the smoke shop to really help running the show. And she's really operating at a whole nother level now. And so I just want to give her some praise. And actually the two of them, Jeff and Sarah, Mikeala and I gave some shares of ownership to take part in ownership of the company. And that was a huge moment. And it was also a big moment for me personally, because I love being an entrepreneur, and it felt like I, as an entrepreneur, got to a different level when that happened. And it was really great. And I still like to think about it. So I just want to say that, and we're a really great team. And then the rest of the staff, I also have, Eric and Patty both been with us for so long. And now we have, we basically just doubled our team, and the new crop is spectacular. We've got some incredible talent in there, and I'm really proud of our team, and of course our glass blowers. And it's just it feels like the whole team is like the best it's ever been. We're really cohesive, and it feels really good, and we're attacking every day, trying to innovate and be the best we can be.
That seems like a great note to leave it on. Tito Bern, Bern Gallery Smoke Shop and Cannabis, Bern Legacy. Go check him out in Burlington. Tito, thank you so much for doing this again. And I want to remind everyone out there that the devils are in the details, and the details are in the fine print. Peace.